This is Fit to Succeed in partnership with NordicFitnessEducation.com with hosts Ben Pratt. Thanks for joining us.
"95% of all trainers have left the industry after 10 years. So the presentation that I did was, what does it take for you to say, I have made it? Communication is severely lacking. Professional communication. Go out there, talk to people, put your head over the parapet, and don't worry about what other people say.
Okay, so today we are here with Ben McDonald, a colleague of mine from many years ago who's now living and working in Canada. So Ben, it's really great to be here with you today. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks a lot, my mate. It's always good to see your smiling face as well.
Oh, thanks, buddy. Okay, now I want to just kind of set the scene for what we're going to discuss today just a little bit. In particular, you started in the fitness industry back in 2004, but prior to that, you had an entirely different career. Perhaps maybe you could just tell us a little bit about why you made that transition from your previous career into the fitness industry. Talk us through that.
Yeah, no problem, mate. I think I started as a mechanical maintenance engineer.
Oh, right. Nice. That's a big change.
That was my previous career, and that was something that coming out of school, I was always interested. I've been involved in combat sport for many years. So I've been a boxing coach for about 22 years now. So I was involved in that sort of neck of the woods anyway. Right. And I found it it sort of really lit me up. But coming from that sort of realm, and being like very much sort of a working class background, then it's always get a trade. You've got to have a trade, you know.
Okay, yeah, true.
That's how. My granddad was. He was a joiner and a bricklayer and all that sort of stuff, and my dad was an electrician. So that was just a natural progression.
Sorry to interrupt. Sounds like then that your shift into the fitness industry was actually quite a change from your whole sort of family lifestyle and what they'd done as employment.
Yeah, 100%. But it was actually my granddad that drove the decision. So he was a builder and all this, that, and the other. But he also was he was heavy into gymnastics, and he was an ex PTI in the paratroop regiment. So I was really interested in that straight off the bat. And he was like, my granddad was a bit of a nut job, right? So he would do he had a set of gravity boots and he'd hang himself upside down and he'd be doing crunches. And I had to go on him. And mate, I was hung upside down doing crunches. And then I couldn't do any more crunches, but then I couldn't reach up to up myself.
Because you're tired.
So I'm hanging upside down like this, I'm like, and it took me half an hour to get down. But so I'd become really interested in the health and fitness stuff through that influence. Yes. So afterwards, sort of got me trade, so to speak. My uncle was a PTI in the paratroop regiment, and I was going to the gym all the time. And I remember sitting down with him one day and saying, "Hey, Alan, I'd love to get into the fitness industry." Yeah. And literally, he said, "Don't get into the fitness industry. There's no money, there's no career, there's no nothing."
All right, so he actually tried to put you off a bit.
Very much so. So that was when I was like, I'd have been about 18 at the time.
Right.
So that really sort of perturbed me. It was like, it sort of turned me off of going into the fitness industry, and I'll be more of a fitness enthusiast than a fitness professional. Yeah. So went down that track, and then, as you know, I moved over to Rome with my wife and our daughter at the time. So I moved out there and I was doing some different stuff, and it was a real eye-opening experience for me because I saw a very different culture. I'd come from a working class background, living in Manchester and going out drinking with the boys, and it's very much of a different lifestyle out in Italy.
Yeah, I've been out to Italy twice last year and to Rome, and I have to admit I thought of you living there when you were younger, and was thinking, wow, compared to Manchester in the UK, that's a hugely different culture. Hugely.
Slightly different. So when I came back from there, I thought, do you know what? It was it was an eye-opening experience for me on a very personal, profound level. I'd hung around with a group of lads before I went over there. There was a lot of, I'm not going to say, there was an expectation of the way that you should be. So you followed that path.
Yeah, peer pressure.
Yeah, that's it. I'd describe it slightly different. Okay. So it wasn't, nobody ever pressured me to do anything. It was like an unwritten, an unsaid expectation that you would behave in a certain way, right? So when I came back from Rome, I thought, this is my opportunity now, so I can be whoever I want to be. So I came back from Rome and I thought, do you know what? I've always wanted to get into the health and fitness industry. So we came back, we had nothing, and my wife's like, well, just do it. Just go for it. We'll make it work.
Right.
So the actual turning point for me was I came back from Rome. We had no money. So I spent £100 on a Volvo estate, right? And I was driving over the Pennines every day to do contract engineering, right? So one day I'm driving and I'm in this flaming Volvo, right? I'm driving along and the traffic's backed up on the motorway and I put my foot on the brake. Bang! And the flaming car's, it's going all over the place. So my heart has literally jumped into my mouth. So I managed to get onto a slip road and pull down onto the hard shoulder. And the flaming, the brake disc that the pad's attached to had sheared off.
Oh, wow.
The flaming axle, right? And I'm looking at it like this, and it's raining, and I thought, mate, this is not for me. You know what I mean? It's something different. So I did. I went and got my personal training qualification.
Oh, fantastic. So and then you had an almost traumatic experience that made you be brave enough to take the step into fitness.
Mate, I can stand here and I can I can potentially die every day, you know what I mean? Or I can go and stand in a gym wearing a pair of shorts and a t-shirt. You know, just there was no competition, mate.
So what I kind of grasp from that is you had these trades, which you felt was supposedly the safer route for you to earn a living, to support your family. But the longer you did it, the more unsatisfied you became with that life. And you still had a love and a passion for health and fitness because it's something you'd engaged in as a youngster.
Yeah, very much so, yeah.
So obviously now you've been in the industry, if we go by your boxing coaching, you've been in the industry 20, 22 years. If we think of your fitness career, more than 14 years. Now, bearing in mind that the current statistics show that within about 5 years, half of the fitness professionals in the industry will have left, that it means to me that those who have longevity in this career have found something that works for them and satisfies them and helps them feel fulfilled. So why don't you share with the listeners what you think the key factors are that still motivate you in the fitness industry all these years later?
I think I actually did a presentation on this to a large group of trainers for the biggest gym chain in Canada. So for a company called Good Life Fitness. And the presentation was 95% of all trainers have left the industry after 10 years. So the presentation that I did was, what does it take for you to say, I have made it? I have made it for those 10. I'm one of the 5%, right?
Excellent. That sounds perfect. So what is it?
So I'm going to tell you, Ben. I'm going to tell you. So MADE was an acronym. So it's like, what can you say? I have made it. So the M is motivation, right? Okay. So motivation is not only motivating your clients. That's a given. You have to motivate your clients. And we can talk about the difference between motivation and inspiration. Like there's a key difference, right? But motivation, so motivating your clients, but also remaining motivated yourself. You have to remain motivated in your career. So it's every morning. That bleeds into the A in the MADE acronym, which is appreciation. So you have to appreciate what you've got. So it's like these different mindsets. So like you have fixed mindset and you have a growth mindset. So a fixed mindset states that failure means you're not smart or talented.
Okay.
A growth mindset states that effort is what makes you smart or talented. Mm-hmm. So some people pick things up really quick. Other people need to apply a little more effort. You see what I mean?
Okay, I'm with you. So if someone's got that fixed mindset, one or two setbacks, they believe that reflects on their ability, and I'm not good enough, so I might give up.
Correct.
Whereas for someone who's got a growth mindset, expects to struggle and to have some setbacks because they know that it will take time to master.
Exactly. And it's all about having that appreciation that if I don't pick this up, it doesn't make you a bad person. You know what I mean? It's not a reflection of the person that you are. I am not. My career is not me. It's part of who I am, but it isn't me. So a failure doesn't mean that I am a bad person. Mm-hmm. It just means that there was a little opportunity. If I apply a little more effort and it's focused effort, I'll be successful. Mm-hmm. And maybe next time I'll get a little better. But if I apply a little more effort, I'll get even better. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
And I like to translate it to babies, which you know all about, right?
Thank you for dropping that one.
So with babies have a very much have a growth mindset. Mm-hmm. Because if you have a fixed mindset, none of us would be walking and none of us would be talking. You see what I mean?
Yeah, good point.
Because it's all effort. As adults, we develop a fixed mindset. So appreciation for what you have is key, right?
All right. So what you're saying is that the concept of a fixed mindset actually comes from our own environment, our learning. We actually learn to think that failure is means it's me who's not talented.
Yeah, exactly right. And there's a great book. I know it's always surprising for you, Ben, when I say I've read this book, right? So there's a great book by a lady called Carol Dweck.
Right.
And the book is called Mindset, funnily enough. And it's an excellent book on like fixed and growth mindset.
Oh, excellent.
So
appreciate that recommendation.
Yeah, there you go. There's a little, you know what I mean? There's a little, I don't get any kickback for that, so it's not
okay.
a plug.
No? So if I go and stick it in my Amazon wish list, you know, there's no few cents coming your way.
No, it doesn't pop up on my, like, oh, Ben's the spot, you know what I mean? It's just like, it's an excellent book all about that.
Now, if I think right, Ben, you've probably worked in most positions in the fitness industry: gym instructor, personal trainer, gym manager.
Yeah.
You've even been you're a fitness educator, as you currently are, both in the UK and then now over in Canada. Now, it's kind of interesting because, you know, having worked alongside you for a number of years, I'm aware that I guess many people might have looked up to the position you were here in the UK, that someone who'd really made it because they progressed and they were now teaching the personal trainers. What motivated you after all of those years to establish yourself in one nation? What motivated you to then shift to somewhere completely new like Canada and where nobody knows you and to have to almost start again?
My wife, you know. So she's my wife is an interesting person, right? So
this is recorded, remember. She's a wonderful person.
I know. But she won't listen to it because she don't like health and fitness.
All right. So.
No, she was. My wife was being in Manchester. I held no interest for her. Okay. So that's why we went to Rome initially. We came back, and then it was like, okay, let's look at options to where we can go. So the thing that motivated me was a lack of ego. I think that there's a lot of ego in the industry. So what happens is people are like, oh, I am like a health and fitness industry expert, or I'm a guru. Yeah. I'm like,
that's the word I was thinking. I was thinking guru.
Just like, you know what I mean? I'm like, yes. What I have is every day I wake up and I have an appreciation, right, for what I do as a job. But I'm a realist, where it's like, mate, yeah, through hard work and determination and focus, I got to a certain point. And I'm not the sharpest knife in the drawer, right, by any stretch of the imagination. But I don't really care about putting my head over the parapet. Okay. So I have no problem saying, I think that this is right. And if it's not right, no problem. But you show me why it's not right, and then I will learn from that because I have a growth mindset.
I was about to say, are you saying then that the move to Canada actually didn't seem so worrying because of the mindset you had? Because it was not about what if it all backfires. It was about we're going to go out and experience this, and we'll learn along the way.
I always think I would rather have. I would rather not succeed in something than have regrets about not doing it.
Yeah, sure.
So, and that's the biggest thing. So my wife says to me, oh, should we, I think we should look at Canada. I'm like, cool, let's do it. If that's what you want to do, let's go for it. And when I came over, it was concerning because I landed in the country. I had 5 weeks. I think I had £900.
Right, so you had a very limited amount of money left over.
Yeah, and I had 5 weeks before my wife and kids came out.
Right.
So I had to build up a personal training business. I had a job before they came, but I had to build up a personal training business, find a house, get the kids enrolled in school, blah, 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 like all of these pieces. So, building a personal training business is very time intensive, Well,
I like what you've said there, because even though, you were positive about the opportunity, at the same time, having that growth mindset doesn't mean that you're not a realist. You knew that there was a risk in doing this, and that your family were going to join you in a not too distant future, and you had a lot to accomplish in that time. Would you say then that you worked fairly focused in that period of time? You were able to drive yourself without getting down?
Mate, there is no bigger motivation. So when I have always been motivated, but every now and again I have spikes in motivation, driven by necessity. Right?
Well, that was necessity.
So what happens is, when I first started personal training, I was coming towards the back end of my personal training qualification. I think I had about 2 weeks left. And my wife said to me, hey, just so you know, we're going to have another child.
Oh, wow.
I was like, okay, so that's motivation for me to be successful in what it is that I'm doing, right?
Sure, for sure.
And then when I came over to Canada, they were coming out in 5 weeks. So that was a massive motivator for me to be successful. So when I talk about a fixed and a growth mindset, just so that we're crystal clear, I approach things from a certain direction, but I didn't really recognize or really understand the fixed and growth mindset, or the difference in mindset, until I came to Canada and I met the guy who I work with now, Kevin Darby. And he really saw a very inspirational person who has affected me profoundly. He sort of pointed out the differences between a fixed and growth mindset and being process focused instead of outcome focused.
Do you want to just quickly define what that is? Process focused versus outcome focused?
You find that, and let's relate this to, see if we're talking about health and fitness, let's relate this to weight management, right? Okay, because everybody's like, hey, I want to lose some weight. So a client comes to see me and they say, I want to lose 50 pounds in body fat. I say, okay, no problem. So every morning what people do, Ben, is they'll sit on a toilet, right? And they will like get everything out that they can possibly get out, and then they weigh themselves, right? And then they go,
not sure,
not lost any weight.
Not sure the facial expressions are necessary there, but
but mate, I want to, so you can feel it, man. Do you know what I mean?
Okay, yeah.
So it's like, I've not lost any weight. So I say, whoa, hang on a minute. You are outcome focused. The outcome is that you lose 50 pounds.
Right.
If you're outcome oriented or outcome focused, what happens is that breeds a lot of frustration. Because you're always looking at, why have I not achieved this? Why have I not achieved this? The process,
seeing the lack or the gap between where you're at now and where you want to be.
Exactly.
Right.
The process for you to lose 50 pounds is that you drink more water, you stress less, you sleep more, you eat less rubbish, and you train 3 times a week.
Okay. And those things seem achievable because you can achieve them every day, every week.
Exactly right. So what we do is, at the end of the week, your client says, I've not lost 50 pounds. Whoa. You focused on the outcome. Did you drink more water? Yeah, I did actually. I drank 2 litres a day. Beautiful. Or whatever it may be.
Sure, I'm with you.
Did you train 3 times this week? Yeah. Oh, yeah, I did actually. Yeah, I got in and I did my strength training 3 times a week. Excellent. Did you sleep a little more? Oh, my sleep's been great. Beautiful. Did you stress a little less? Yeah. Do you know what? I did a little meditation. It was beautiful. It like de-stressed me. Excellent. And did you eat a little less rubbish? Do you know what? I actually ate really well this. Brilliant.
Yeah, exactly.
So you follow the process, the outcome will come.
All right. So I totally get that. And with that sort of thought process of having process-focused goals, and you're a really positive guy, Ben, and I get this, and you're very motivated, and I like that you've identified things that really targeted your motivation, particularly when there was time involved that you had to achieve something. But over how many years have you been in Canada now?
It's coming up to, I think it's going to be 6 years.
So nearly 6 years now. Wow, time flies. Doesn't seem that long. But the thought that's come to my mind is there must have been some challenges in those 5 or 6 years. And perhaps maybe you could share with us 2 or 3 of the challenges that you experienced and what you did to overcome those to be successful out in Canada, as you have been.
Yeah, I think the first thing would be building a business. So building that PT business it's always difficult. It's an uncomfortable situation that you're in. It's the same for everybody. Approaching people on a gym floor, doing consultations, talking about the finances behind what it is that the service that you offer. It's all it makes for an uncomfortable situation a lot of the time.
So are you saying then that, I think a lot of personal trainers, as you suggest, find this a difficult skill, and sometimes it's the reason they fail, but the actual application of sales and marketing skills?
Mate, 100%. I saw some phenomenal trainers who cared deeply about the client's results and the goals, but they really struggled. They felt embarrassed, and they felt they weren't engaging with the client when he started talking about like the financial stuff. It was a very difficult process for a lot of trainers.
And you're saying that you found this difficult yourself?
Yeah, I mean, approaching people on a gym floor in a new country where you've not got any friends. It's like you're literally, your family's not there. I was literally me, just like on my own. No support mechanism.
I find that fascinating because knowing you pretty well, Ben, that you're a very confident person, and I've seen how quickly you can talk to people and bring people on board. We've presented at shows together, and you've had a group of 60 or 70 people within minutes. They're engaged with you because you've got a great personality and a great ability to interact with people and to put people at ease. And I find it fascinating that in that scenario where the pressure was on, you still felt, I'm sure like many of us, it's difficult sometimes to step up and speak to people.
Of course it is. That's how it goes. But again, that is my fixed mindset coming. What if this happens? What if that happens? What if it's like, mate, the worst thing that can possibly happen is someone turns around and says, I'm not interested in personal training.
Yeah, that's a great point, because that's about as bad as it gets usually.
That's like,
no, thank you.
And he's like, oh, that's terrible. He's like, okay, no problem. So the way I sort of always approach it, and the advice that I give to people is, don't speak to people about personal training. You create a relationship with people, So it's like, for example, you walked into the gym. Where I spent a lot of my time to start with was at the reception area. So people walk into the gym. I say, hey, mate, how are you getting on? Here's a towel for you. I hope you have an excellent workout. Wow. As you walk past, I have a quick look on the computer. Who was that person? Oh, it was Ben. Excellent. And write it down or make a mental note, whatever you want to do. Next time you come in, hey, Ben, how are you getting on, my friend? How did your workout go last time? You're like, as soon as someone uses your name,
yeah, you've stepped over the threshold, haven't you?
Changes the game. So then it's like, cool, enjoy your work. What are you training today? Oh, I'm doing some legs today. Oh, excellent. Have a good workout. Next time they come in, hey, Ben, how are you getting on, lad? How did your leg workout go? Oh, do you know, woof, my legs are they're like on fire, you know what I mean? And brilliant. So what are you doing today?
So what you're sort of saying is that you're playing a longer game here. You're building step by step to develop a relationship with somebody rather than rocking in there and telling them, I want you to pay me £50 an hour personal training or dollars in Canada.
You just got to build that. You've just got to build a relationship with people. And then what happens is you show your value to that person. You know, when that person comes in, they say, oh, do you know what? I'm doing an upper body workout today. Whatever it is that they're doing. Hey, do you know what? I've got 20 minutes before my next client comes in. Why don't I go and show you a couple of exercises? I'll give you a spot or whatever, or I'll show you some mobility techniques, some band work to open your chest up or whatever before you stabilize it and then go into your workout. And the client's like, oh, the person who you're conversing with, oh, do you know what? That'd be brilliant.
Yeah, and if they'd rather not, like you said, the worst thing they can say is, not today, thanks, mate. All right, no worries, have a great workout. And that's not the end of the opportunity. There's more opportunities to potentially go back and work with that person again, and maybe later down the line when they trust you more. Who knows?
Mate, statistically, here's some statistics.
Go for it.
Are you impressed?
I am. Especially that you can recall them just like that.
I know, yeah, it's like, woo! I've got them on a sheet just behind the computer here. So statistically speaking, you can expect clients after the first interaction to come back to you up to 8 months after that interaction.
Wow.
So you don't need to. The main criteria and the main thing that you want is that every single person in that gym knows your name.
Yeah.
That's the main thing. And they know that you're the guy to go and speak to if you need any help.
Yeah, great stuff.
That's it. It's simple and it's straightforward. Mm-hmm. But it's the initial, you are thinking about the outcome.
Mm-hmm. Of course.
You see what I mean?
Yeah.
You're being outcome focused when you're thinking, I'm talking to this person to sell them personal training. No, mate.
So let's get to the brass tacks here, mate, because you went out there, you had 5 weeks, all right? You had some concerns about building your client base and approaching people like many trainers have. When your family arrived, how many clients had you been able to pull on board? You know?
I was training when they came over. I think I was training about 24, 25 hours a week.
Mm-hmm. Wow. So you had some clients coming multiple times?
Oh yeah. So the beauty of it over here, Ben, is that there is you don't run on a single session basis.
Everyone's session time. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like people come on board and you show them the periodization model that you're going to use with them or whatever to get them to their overall objective. It's going to take X amount of time. Mm-hmm. Then they purchase the number of sessions that are going to equate to that sort of period of time. And then once you hit that time limit or that number of sessions, then you because obviously the goal is there, but then what you're going to do? Stop training?
Sure.
Everything shifts and changes, and so you represent and then pick them up for maybe another year or whatever it may be.
So, because that's obviously another key time when potentially clients can drop off, isn't it? Where the initial purchase of, 12, 15, 20 sessions has expired, and you now need to kind of refocus them. In my opinion, a trainer would probably be looking to make sure that transition happens smoothly several sessions before they get to that point.
Yes.
But any thoughts or tips as to how you manage that period of time to ensure that a client recommits for another financial period?
Yeah, I think what you've got to do as a client, as a coach, my apologies, is you have to engage the client. The client has to be bought into the process. Do you see what I mean? Mm-hmm. This is what we need to do in order to hit that first objective that you have. And training doesn't finish there. So long as they know, start talking to them. Ben, I know that you want to put on a little bit. I'm not saying that you do, Ben, right? But I'm using you as an example. So I know you want to put on some decent muscle mass. So we're going to take you through a few phases of training. By this point, we'll get into your hypertrophy stage, and you'll put on that lean muscle mass. From there, I'm going to take you into some more strength training so that we can increase the weight that we lift, which is another training variable for when we go back into our next phase. So you're always talking to the client about moving forward with the training. You see what I mean?
So you're keeping them process focused rather than...
That's it. The outcome as a company, our outcome for people is longevity and pain-free movement for everyone.
Sure.
That's the vision statement.
Mm-hmm.
That is not longevity and pain-free movement up until the point where you finish your training sessions that you bought from them.
That's a good point. But there's likely to be some clients that you had or have who have a specific outcome goal. So let's say, for example, you're training somebody who wanted to compete in a triathlon or something like that. And so there's going to be a specific date in mind. But obviously as a PT, you want to help them achieve that goal, that they can do well in their triathlon, but at the same time, you'd like them to continue. So how would you manage that scenario? Right on the spot.
For me, I have no problem with that. If my client has achieved the overall objective and they are set up and they are solid, they know how to train, they know how to look after the body for maximal performance, no problem. As a personal trainer, my entire objective is to give my client the ability to move forward without me. Mm-hmm. That's my entire objective. So I don't want I don't want a client for life. You know what I mean? What I want to have is, but you will get clients who say, I really enjoy training with you. I know I trained a guy back in the UK, for example. By the time he trained with me for a numerous number of years, by the time we'd finished our training sessions, or not by the time we'd finished, but we got into a certain objective, I said to him, mate, you know more than most personal trainers. Why don't you just train yourself? And he'd look at me and he'd go, hey, this is my money. I will spend it how I want to spend it. You see what I mean? So you get clients like that, but the overall objective should be that you give your client independence so that they can train on their own in a safe and effective manner that's going to keep them rolling and give them longevity and pain-free movement for life.
I think that's a really great example you shared, because I have a very similar mentality. In the years that I've done personal training, my job as a personal trainer is not just to deliver programs that people follow, but it's to educate and to teach so that people understand why they're doing what they're doing and why it will make a difference. What you're suggesting to me is that you actually get a lot of buy-in from your client because you're instructing them, you're teaching them, giving them knowledge beyond just do 2 sets of 20 on this, and I think the reason why that client wants to stay with you is because he has implicit trust in you. You're not trying to pull any business tricks to keep him tied into you, and that relationship, often they don't want to lose when they've built it. And he obviously gets more from training with somebody like yourself than just the sets and reps. Because the bottom line is, I think today people can go on Google and they can find just about any number of training variables they want. But yet a personal trainer still makes a difference.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, I think as a coach, and the way that the thought process works with other trainers, I've trained people and I said, oh, can you show me the programs that you got that your last personal trainer gave you? Mm-hmm. They're like, oh no, me trainer didn't give me any programs. And I'm like, what I don't understand. What do you mean they didn't give you any programs? Well, they had designed programs for me, mm-hmm. but they kept them. It was like
they never had access.
Yeah, I didn't have access to them. I'm like, mate, those are your programs. Mm. You have paid the coach mm-hmm. to design those programs for you. Mm-hmm. So they would come to me and say, it's like a closed shop almost, Ben. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I see.
It's almost like a trainer doesn't want to see other trainers looking at their programs.
Yeah.
Because maybe, are they going to pull out a little? Everyone does things differently. Mm-hmm. But at the end of the day, the client has paid you for a service, and part of your service is that you have designed those programs for the client. Mm-hmm. That's it. Yeah, they are not your programs. You have been paid for that process. Mm-hmm. They're now your clients. You see what I mean?
Yeah, that's another great example of really good practice. And I would agree with that the client should have access to all of the details and information, program design that you've developed for them. Absolutely. Now, we're just about coming up on time here, Ben. If you were to give one piece of advice to somebody who's listening, who's considering moving their fitness career from one country to another, what bit of advice would you offer?
Oof.
There's a question, eh?
Yeah, that's a decent one, my mate. That's a decent one. I don't like to think, because you do know we're 5 hours behind you over there. Right?
I know it's early morning.
I would say, grasp the nettle, right?
Okay,
So
that's
what you've got
interesting. That's an interesting analogy. For those who don't know what a nettle is, obviously it's a stinging plant.
So what you've got to do is put yourself out there. Put yourself out there and communicate with people. Communication is severely lacking in the fitness industry, in my opinion.
Yep.
Professional communication. Go out there, talk to people, put your head over the parapet, and don't worry about what other people say. When I first came to Canada, I got in touch with a guy who was the editor of a magazine. And I said, I would like to write for your magazine. He said to me, wow, I've been running this magazine for 7 years. You were the first person to ever reach out to me and say that I would like to write for this magazine. Oh, wow. First person ever. I was like, as a personal trainer and coach, to build your profile a little bit, all those extra pieces are great. You don't get paid for it. There's a lot of unpaid stuff that you do, but it's the process that you focused on, and that will drive you towards the outcome. So you've just got to put yourself out there for things, communicate with people inside a gym, let people know that you're the person to come and see. Yeah. Again, one more example before we, before you kick me off. When I'm doing a consultation with somebody, we may talk about, and I give this advice to the people who come through the qualifications. You'll sit down and you may talk about mobility. People talk about flexibility. One of the biggest drivers for flexibility is I want to touch my toes. Interesting. Right? So you'll sit there and you'll talk to somebody. You'll say, okay, no problem. I tell you what, I've got something for you to try. Give them a lacrosse ball and let them roll out the sole of the foot. So they tried the toe touch before. They sort of roll out the bottom of the foot. And we can talk about the superficial back net, blah, 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 all these different nets that originate from the foot. But they'll roll out the foot as you're doing your consultation with them. And at the end of the consultation, say, try your toe touch again. 99 times out of 100, you will see a decent improvement, right? You'll be like, oh, that is amazing. I can't believe that has improved my flexibility. You've spoken to them about training. They say, do you know what, right now, I'm not in a financial position to purchase training. No problem. You take the ball, here, Ben, and you throw them the ball. You keep hold of that. And what I want you to do is remember how to roll the sole of your foot out. Keep working on it, and you will hit that flexibility goal that you've got. Or you'll get a lot closer to it. That person then goes, a lacrosse ball costs what? Nothing. Couple of pounds. They walk into the changing rooms. Everybody that they speak to, I've just had did a consultation with Ben, and he flaming gave me this lacrosse ball, and I rolled out, and it's amazing. Yep. You want to go and speak to him. So you have a positive connotation or a positive attachment to your name in a gym environment. You're the person to go and speak to, and that's how it should be. That's the biggest piece of advice, Ben.
Well, the other thing I really liked about what you said there was that person then has something they're taking with them from their interaction with you. And that ball may sit in their home in a drawer somewhere, but every time they see it, they go, oh, Ben gave me that. And so the thought of you training them, even though they didn't agree initially, will continue to be reminded every time they see that ball. Great tool.
As we sort of move into the fitness industry, or as the fitness industry moves forward, Ben, there's a mistake that people make. The mistake is it's a transactional process that we're in. So we're in a transaction now, right? That's how it goes. When you sit down with a client, we're in a transaction. I am selling you something. Yeah. Give the client something. Give them something. Don't ask for anything in return. Don't make it a transaction. Make it an interaction.
Yeah, great words. I appreciate that. That's you know what? I think that those are probably great words to finish on. It's been such a pleasure chatting with you today, Ben, and to feel your genuine passion for the health and fitness industry. Thank you so much for your time, and I wish you a really good day.
No problem, Ben. And it's always a pleasure, never a chore.
Indeed. Thank you.
If you enjoyed this podcast, please subscribe and share via social media. You can also rate the show on iTunes, Stitcher, or YouTube. If you'd like to know more about us, then check out our range of online courses at www.nordicfitnesseducation.com.